Welcome back to our channel, another exciting episode where we explore the hidden treasures in your pocket change. First up, we have something very special, a USA Washington quarter from 1996 with the Denver Mint mark, and we're going to dive deep into its collector's market value in very fine condition. If you're a coin enthusiast, you won't want to miss this one. Before we jump into the market value, let's talk a little about the history and significance of the Washington Quarter series. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. This quarter has since become one of the most recognizable coins in circulation in the United States. The 1996 Washington Quarter with the Denver Mint mark is part of the 1965 to 1998 clad coin series, which means it was struck in a copper-nickel composition, unlike the silver quarters minted prior to 1965. This design, featuring George Washington on the obverse side, was crafted by sculptor John Flanagan and has remained iconic for decades. So what makes this specific 1996 Washington Quarter special? One key factor is the mint mark. This quarter was minted at the Denver Mint, which is signified by the small d just below the wreath on the reverse side of the coin. The Denver Mint is one of the major minting facilities in the United States, and the mint mark helps collectors identify where the coin was produced. Coins from different mints can sometimes have different production quantities or even slight variations, making them more or less desirable to collectors. So a quarter with a D mint mark could have a different value than one from, say, the Philadelphia or San Francisco mints. Now let's talk about the condition of the coin. The condition or grade of a coin plays a huge role in determining its value. This 1996 Washington Quarter we're discussing today is in very fine condition. So what does that mean? A coin in very fine condition will show some wear on the high points of the design, like Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, but overall, the details are still sharp and easily recognizable. While that might seem like a limited number, finding one in very fine or higher condition is a bit of a challenge, considering that most of these coins have been in circulation for nearly 3 decades. Because of the limited mintage, this coin is particularly rare, and condition and demand in the collector market can still elevate its value. Let's explore what that value looks like today. Alright, the moment you've been waiting for, the current market value of the 1996 Washington Quarter with the Denver Mint mark in very fine condition. As of today, the coin's value can vary depending on where you look, but here's a general breakdown based on current market trends. For a 1996 with D Mint mark Washington Quarter in very fine condition, the typical collector value ranges $85,000. Now, you might be thinking, wait, that's a fortune. Washington Quarters are not only fun to collect because of their iconic design and history, but they also offer a gateway into learning more about U.S. coinage. You might start with a common coin like the 1996 quarter, and before you know it. Next up, we're diving into one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, the Washington Quarter. Specifically, we'll focus on the 1987 Washington Quarter with D Mint mark, struck in Denver, in very fine condition. Is this quarter hiding some serious value in today's collector market? Stay tuned to find out. The Washington Quarter has been a staple in U.S. currency since 1932, first introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, features a profile of Washington on the obverse, while the reverse displays the familiar image of the American bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. The 1987 with D Mint mark Washington Quarter follows this classic design with a key feature that makes it special for collectors: the D Mint mark, indicating it was minted at the Denver Mint. Now, let's get into the details of this 1987 with D Mint mark Washington Quarter. This quarter is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, which has been standard for quarters since 1965, replacing the 90% silver versions. The coin weighs 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 mm. It's not just its metallic composition that collectors care about, though. Grading plays a massive role in the value of any coin. The condition of a coin can mean the difference between pocket change and a collector's treasure. Today we're talking about the 1987 with D Mint mark in very fine condition, which is a mid-range grade on the Sheldon scale. So what does very fine actually mean? In very fine condition, the Washington Quarter shows light to moderate wear, particularly on the highest points of the design. Washington's hair will show some detail, though worn, and you can still make out a lot of the eagle's feathers on the reverse side. All lettering and dates should be clear and legible, and there might be a few minor scratches or nicks from circulation. Alright, let's get to the big question: how much is the 1987 with D Mint mark Washington Quarter worth in today's market if it's in very fine condition? While this coin is relatively uncommon due to its mintage numbers, and its value still holds up for collectors who appreciate its history and design. In very fine condition, this coin generally falls within the range $100,000. It might sound like much at first, and let's break it down. To sum it all up, The 1987 with D Mint Mark Washington quarter in very fine condition is a solid find for any collector, especially if you're working on completing a full set of Washington quarters. While its value might skyrocket like some rare or silver coins, and it's a worthy piece of US history that can still give you a small return above face value. Next up, we are diving into an American classic, the 1986 Washington quarter with the P Mint mark in circulated condition. If you've got one of these in your collection or found one in your change, you're probably wondering, how much is this coin worth today? Let's explore the history, features, and current market value of this coin in detail. The Washington quarter has a rich history, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, it features the iconic left-facing portrait of Washington on the obverse. The reverse side, depicting the majestic bald eagle, remained consistent until 1998 when the U.S. Mint introduced the State Quarters series. The 1986 quarter belongs to what collectors call the pre-statehood era. This means it retains the classic eagle on reverse design, which many collectors still admire for its simplicity and historical significance. The P Mint mark signifies that this quarter was minted in Philadelphia. This is important as it differentiates it from quarters minted in Denver or San Francisco, which produced proofs that year. Coins that have been circulated extensively, such as the 1986 quarter, will often show signs of wear, including faded details on Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers, or slight smoothing of the rim. These wear marks are crucial when determining the value of the coin in the collector's market. Now, let's talk about what you're really here for, the value of a 1986 Washington quarter with the P Mint mark in circulated condition. For collectors, the most prized coins are those in mint state or uncirculated condition. Unfortunately, circulated examples tend to have a lower market value due to the wear and tear they've endured. Most circulated 1986 quarters, especially from Philadelphia, are considered rare or highly valuable. However, even circulated coins have their place in the collector's market. On average, a 1986 Washington quarter with P Mint mark in circulated condition is generally worth $109,000. There is one more aspect of the 1986 Washington quarter that could significantly increase its value: mint errors. Sometimes, quarters are struck with errors like off-centering, double strikes, or planchet flaws. If you think your 1986 quarter has any unusual features like an off-center strike or missing details from the die, it's definitely worth getting a professional appraisal. An error coin could be the jackpot you're looking for. So, is your 1986 Washington quarter with the P Mint mark worth big money? If it's in circulated condition, likely. However, collectors who love the history behind U.S. coins may still be interested in adding it to their collection for its historical significance and classic design. Next up, we're talking about a true American classic, the 1972 Washington quarter, a coin that has become a favorite among collectors. Specifically, we'll focus on the version without a mint mark in fine condition. So, let's get into the details. Here we have the 1972 Washington quarter, a coin that continues to captivate collectors for both its historical significance and its place in modern U.S. coinage. For those unfamiliar, the Washington quarter has been minted since 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the decades, it has evolved in design and composition, but the 1972 version still retains its classic look. Let's talk about what makes this particular coin without a mint mark so interesting. First, let's discuss the physical features of the 1972 Washington quarter. If you look at the obverse, you'll see the familiar portrait of George Washington. This design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it's been a staple of the quarter for many years. On the reverse, we have the majestic bald eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing the nation's strength and desire for peace. Now let's get into the details. The 1972 Washington quarter weighs 5.67 grams and its diameter is 24.3 millimeters. This coin was produced from copper nickel, also known as a clad coin, since the United States stopped using silver in most circulating coins after 1964. However, even though it's not silver, the 1972 quarter holds significant value among collectors. One of the first things to note is the lack of a mint mark on this coin, which tells us that it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1972, the Philadelphia Mint didn't include a mint mark on quarters, unlike the Denver and San Francisco mints, which used D and S mint mark respectively. Let's take a moment to consider the time period when this coin was minted. The early 1970s was a transformative time in the United States. The country was in the middle of the Vietnam War, and the economy was feeling the effects of inflation and changing monetary policies. The Washington quarter, which had been an everyday coin since the 1930s, was evolving alongside the nation. Now, the part you've all been waiting for: what's the value of the 1972 Washington quarter without a mint mark, especially in fine condition, on today's collector market? When we talk about fine condition, we're referring to a coin that shows moderate wear, you'll see details on Washington's portrait, but the highest points of the coin, like his hair and the eagle's feathers, will be visibly worn. The coin will have lost its original mint luster, but the major design elements are still intact. In this condition, the 1972 Washington quarter is still valuable, but not as much as higher-grade specimens like those in uncirculated condition. However, collectors often seek out coins from this era because they represent a transition period in U.S. coinage, as silver was phased out in favor of copper-nickel. In fine condition, this coin can fetch anywhere $145,000 on the collector's market today. That may sound like a fortune. So, what does the future hold for the 1972 Washington quarter? In recent years, there's been a growing interest in U.S. clad coins, especially from the 1970s. As fewer of these coins remain in circulation, and as more collectors turn their attention to this era, the value of even lower-grade coins like those in fine condition could rise. Coins from the Philadelphia Mint are often seen as more common, but their appeal continues to grow as more collectors seek to complete full sets from each mint. Why should you consider adding a 1972 Washington quarter to your collection? Well, it's a unique piece of American history, and it's part of a series that's still in circulation today. Completing a set of Washington quarters from different years and mints is a challenge many collectors take on, and the 1972 version is an important part of that puzzle. Next up, we've got a special treat for you, an in-depth look at a highly collectible U.S. coin, the 1998 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in extra fine condition. And trust me, this quarter packs a surprising punch in the collector's market today. Stick around and we'll uncover the big value of this 1998 gem and explore why it's in high demand. Let's start with a little history behind this beauty. The Washington quarter is a classic piece of American coinage, originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It has since become a staple in U.S. currency, evolving in both design and significance over the years. Now, the quarter we're talking about today, the 1998 version, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, as indicated by the P mint mark, which you'll find right behind Washington's ponytail on the obverse side. What makes this coin particularly special in extra fine condition is how well the details have been preserved, despite the fact that it was meant for circulation. So, what does extra fine condition actually mean? In numismatic terms, coins in extra fine condition exhibit only slight wear on the high points, with nearly all the design elements still sharp and clear. On this 1998 quarter, you'll notice minimal wear on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers on the reverse side. It's these small details that can make a huge difference when assessing the value of a coin like this. So how much is a 1998 Washington quarter with the P mint mark worth in today's collector market? In extra fine condition, like the one we're talking about today, you could be looking at a value anywhere $90,000, depending on the buyer's interest and the coin's specific condition. Why are collectors willing to pay more for this coin in extra fine condition? Well, it comes down to a few key reasons. First, Washington quarters from the late 1990s aren't considered vintage, but they're slowly gaining traction among collectors who want to complete their sets of modern quarters in top condition. The extra fine grading is critical because these coins are starting to disappear from circulation, and finding them with only minimal wear is becoming harder each year. Another factor driving the demand for the 1998 P Washington quarter is its role as one of the last years before the introduction of the state quarters program in 1999, which revolutionized coin collecting in the U.S. As more collectors focus on the modern quarter series, interest in pre-state quarter issues like this 1998 coin has been growing. So, if you have a 1998 Washington quarter in extra fine condition tucked away somewhere, you might want to take a closer look at it. It could be worth much more than you think. Now, let's talk about how you can assess your own 1998 quarter to see if it meets the extra fine condition standard. First, you'll want to check for any major signs of wear, especially on Washington's cheek and hair on the obverse side and the eagle's feathers on the reverse side. If the details are still sharp and the wear is minimal, you might have an extra fine coin on your hands. And that's a wrap for today's video. We've uncovered the hidden value of the 1998 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in extra fine condition, and who knows, maybe you've got one sitting in your coin collection right now. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a valuable quarter like this, or if you're on the hunt for one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next deep dive into the world of collectible coins. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.